worst days for me are the days where it's really dark and overcast, but also wet. Like I find if it's damp, I'm constantly cold, and I have this.
Get yourself down the stairs. I have an upstairs in my house, and usually a warm shower. It'll help.
When there's no sun, I don't know. The sun makes me happy, cheery, and things, but when it's cloudy out,
I have to sort of try a little harder. Some days I don't feel like doing it at all, and I would rather just go to bed and crawl under the covers.
I get sick. If anything's going around, if there's any sort of weird weather fluctuation, that's when I'll catch it. So spring, winter, like this year, because the weather's been so weird, I've been catching everything that's going around.
To stay energized and to stay focused. I find my mental capacity isn't as acute. And it's just harder for me to accomplish anything. When it's not nice out,
I just don't want to do anything. I get lazy. I'm not motivated to do anything.
Since the dawn of humanity, weather has played one of the greatest roles in our lives. The weather shapes our work, our happiness, and even our health. Only now are we beginning to understand that weather can do a lot more to us than we think. 1 in every 3 people is weather sensitive, so even if you're not one of them, chances are you know someone who is. One of the ways the weather affects us is psychologically. There is a condition known as seasonal affective disorder, or S.A.D for short.
I think it has been found even for several centuries now, since the time of Hippocrates, that human moods and behaviors seem to fluctuate with the seasons. Depressive episodes come on every year during the fall or winter time, and then there's a complete remission during spring.
Weather affects me a lot, especially with mood, psychologically. I mean, if it's a nice day, I'm going to be in a better mood. I'm going to want to get up and do something. If it's snowy or crappy out, kind of like it is today, then I want to sleep till noon. I don't want to get out of bed or do anything.
But what really causes seasonal affective disorder, and what are the symptoms?
A person with SAD would gain weight. Instead of not being able to sleep or having restless sleep and waking up early in the morning or whatever, these people would actually want to sleep. So you would see those symptoms coming up, and then concomitant with that, you would get impairment as well in functioning, social functioning, career difficulties, family difficulties, academic performance may be compromised, for instance. And also, in addition to that, in a small number of cases, you also get suicidal ideation, which can also lead, in some extreme cases, to suicide attempts.
Cloudy days like today, when there's no sun out, I get really depressed and I don't feel like going outside. In the really colder months like January and December, I don't even want to get up to go to school. It's so horrible outside, and I don't know, school sucks.
There are only 2 types of therapy available to deal with SAD. The more common treatment involves prescription medication. The other involves shining a bright light into the sufferer's eyes.
You can purchase those light boxes, and there are companies down in the United States and also in Quebec that will produce the light boxes, and you sit in front of the light boxes in the morning every day, and it seems to alleviate the symptoms, make you feel better, and the effects, I think, you start seeing a therapeutic effects within about 4 to 5 days. But then if you stop using it, then the effects will go away.
And it turns out that these pharmacotherapeutic techniques are just as effective as phototherapy. So obviously something's going on here, and possible sharing of mechanisms is going on.
I just ran out of my prescription for the medication, and if I get off the medication, I'm told now there are horrible withdrawal side effects.
The psychological effects are not the only problem caused by weather. It can also affect us physically.
The effects of weather on general health are large. A lot of us are more susceptible to sunlight. For instance, ultraviolet light on your eyes can damage the retina and also cause irritation of your eyes. So there are sunglasses available that will cut down the amount of ultraviolet light that is emitted. It can also affect your skin. So skin cancers are certainly on the rise, and melanomas are also on the rise.
Weather can be a powerful factor in our lives and can even sometimes have devastating consequences.
I'd like to introduce my family to you. I'm a single mom raising 3 children that all have special needs. This is Joseph. He's my oldest. He'll be 9 in a couple weeks. He's an autistic child. He's very high functioning Asperger's, and he's like a genius. He's doing really well. He's not affected by the disease that Peter, Justin, and Avery have. Peter Justin's 7 and Avery's 5, and they have xeroderma pigmentosum, XP. They're predisposed to cancer. They have a shortened lifespan of about 18 to 20 years. Justin had his first burn at 9 months of age. That was before 11:30 in the morning under a layer of blankets in the stroller. It's a 3rd-degree burn, and it happened within a half an hour, and it took over 1 month to heal. So we basically are prisoners in our own home, protecting the children from the sunlight.
Now, staying indoors on a sunny day when it's good to go to the beach, I won't like it. Peter and Avery, I want them to go to the beach with me. I want them to play games with me, dangerous games, that they won't get hurt with. Even though that they bug me, I still love them a lot. Cloudiness makes me feel very happy because me and my little brother here, Peter, and my sister, Avery, can go outside. If it's snowy, during the evening, we can go out in the snow, which is, I think, it is so fun. It feels pretty bad. It feels pretty bad. It feels pretty bad.
We have the blinds are pulled down. It's really dark. It sort of pulls you in. And that would be comparable to a really dark, dismal day, a cloudy day. Another thing that goes along with the weather is vacation. That's one thing that we can't do here, and it affects Joseph mostly and myself, that we can't go and do something as a family without putting 2 other people at risk. These children can stop walking, talking, go blind, deaf at any time.
It is one thing to be aware of how we can be affected by the weather. We experience it every day. But what will happen when the weather that affects us changes? And what if the change is rapid and dramatic? The sort of change experts are predicting as our globe warms up.
The most direct effect of increased temperatures would be the warming itself. And in large American cities, such as Atlanta, there have been some studies done which have shown an increase in deaths related to a very small increase in temperature. One study showed that an increase of 2 degrees increased the death rates in Atlanta, Georgia from 74 per year to a low of 96 and a high of 247. So that's a very substantial increase.
The effect of the changing climate is to introduce conditions in areas where people aren't used to those conditions. They're not accustomed to those conditions, and they haven't developed coping mechanisms to deal with those conditions. It's going to be a relatively slow process, but it is going to occur over the length of people's lifetimes, therefore it will impact people. It's really the rapid rise in temperature that's going to occur over the next 100 years that may have dire consequences. The rise in temperature alone would not be a problem. It's the speed at which the temperature is going to rise that will be a problem. That speed doesn't give natural ecosystems the time to adjust to the changing temperatures. That puts communities and species under stress, causes extinctions, and causes major disruption in ecosystems. And that's what we have to fear from global warming. Not the rise in temperature itself, but because it's a man-forced rise in global temperature, it's going to occur quickly, and that is going to have consequences.
For over thousands of years, people have talked about the weather, but it is only now that we're beginning to understand what it's doing to us. It's obviously clear that the weather is playing a far greater role than we once thought, and with global warming just on the horizon, that role can only get bigger.